Hey, what's going on, guys? We got Chef PV here, Troy. Check it out. On the bench today is what we're going to call the Quad Spotlight, or I don't know, just something new that I thought I wanted to do for a little while. I get a lot of questions asked about my individual setups and all that. And I try to do build videos. I make a build video dang near every time that I build a quad, but it always ends up like way drawn out and just I just never really like the way that my build videos end up, so I never really publish them. So instead, I figure, why don't we just go through each quad that I fly mainly right now and talk about them, show them to you, talk about the parts that I fly and why, open them up and kind of show you how I built this frame. And I mean, I don't know. So there you go. So that's how the Quad Spotlight started. Is rainy day in Texas, not having a lot to do, still wanting to talk about quads. So, all right, what do you got here? This is the Rana 220-3, which is the main staple of the Turbo Mach drones lineup. Gars, my teammate from Zero Ground, good friend, and just amazing pilot, flies for TDM and has been flying this Rana and developing this Rana frame for about a year now. They have some other frames coming out, and they're actually about to take a step up into the game as far as retail space and stuff like that. So it's really awesome to see them really coming up, and seeing Gars just travel all year round racing was just great. So just congratulations to those guys. More importantly, this frame has now taken over as my go-to all-around frame. There's a few reasons why, but the main reason is it's just simple and it just works. It just is. In this setup, I have it with 2205, 2300 Black Star Drone Supernova motors. Yes, they look like the Brother Hobbies motors, but they're not, no longer. And this actually is definitely not from their factory. The new spec on these are coming out, the new design and everything, so it'll be really cool to see those. Completely different bell, all that stuff. I'm spinning 50-51 racecrafts, and I have this thing slammed on 25 millimeter standoffs so the props can clear. Because otherwise, with my mount having these TPU rings right there, I was actually clipping my mount at times. And not only that, but I find that a slammed frame, typically also in reducing weight, I get a lot less breakage on top plates and frames, just because really it's lower and you're going to kind of hit something else more, instead, usually the props. So I just really love the way that slammed frames look, they feel, they fly. So I always try to eventually, after I start building a quad, once I get it finished and really set up with all the equipment I want and dialed in, then I start kind of tweaking it and making it smaller and lower and lighter, and that's how I start going down to something like this. All my hardware for slamming my stuff, Multi-Rotor Mania, these are 25 millimeter standoffs. And so there's what you got there. It does actually, it's also running Acon 30 bolt light, and it's running on multi-shot. So running multi-shot on the Acon 30s. That's all you got really on the outside, except for here's the antenna that I have on it today. This is actually from Aerial Visions. Video Aerial Systems, VAS, or Alex. Thanks, Alex. This is actually going in a prize pack for our race. Just wanted to have it on here for mock-up, and I wanted to test one before we gave it away. Great new little antenna coming out from those guys. Actually, it's not too little, but definitely a solid setup. I love this thing. I think it's like 3 dBi, if I had to remember, 3.6 dBi. I don't remember. So on the back here, we have a 3D printed TPU mount that allows the SMA to come straight out the back, which is low enough to not get hit by the props. So I bend the antenna down, so when I'm flying, it's pitched forward. I have these great 3D antenna mounts where I have a little hole coming through the back that I put my antennas through, and then they go into here. Now these are actually just sitting over 10 mil standoffs that I then put a 20 mil M3 screw through that's going through the standoff, through the plate, and into the lower standoff. So these things are actually nice and solid mounted on there, and it's just a way to get these up and out of the way on that slammed mount. So that's the way I decided to do it. On the front, you will see the Runcam. It's just a standard Runcam OWL. I love that camera. It's one of my favorite all-around cameras. Great for small type builds like this, for slamming things. I used to have it in the Voodoo when I slammed it, and it was so perfect for like getting just perfectly in there and rising out. On the Rana frame, you have a little more room, but the mount is a TPU mount from Brent Collier at Great 3D. He actually designed this. I messaged him when the OWL cam was first announced, before it was even out or anybody had one. I said, dude, these cameras are going to be hot. I'm going to use them on everything. I got to get a mount designed. And he literally sketched this out and came up with it in like an hour and had them printed. So really awesome of him. And I love this mount. It's suspended, it's dampened, and it's adjustable by turning. If I turn the arms, basically, it tightens them down and brings it closer on either the top or the bottom. And then if you pinch them closer to each other, you can actually, and then let's say I raise it up, right? So I pinched them, and then I raise it up halfway. I can get a nice, watch this. There you go. Look at that tilt. And if I wanted that kind of tilt on an OWL cam, I can do that. So then I can lower the angle by just leaving it there. And I can get it, oh, it's a little tilted. I can get it pretty much straight, which you would never really want it that straight. So just an awesome little all-around mount. It's a universal mount kind of for anything with standoffs in the front. And it allows you to get pretty much any angle you need right there. That's a lot of angle. I typically run it right in there. It gets me enough on both sides. So there you go. So that's just the outside. You want to dive in deeper? Let's take a look. So I'm actually going to take this thing off from the underside. Different frames are more so easily or not so easily taken apart different ways, and this just happens to be one that the way I have everything mounted, if I unscrew from the bottom, it allows me to take the entire top plate and standoffs off. It just ends up being easier for me. You'll see. So there we go. So there's the guts. So what you got and that you're looking at, again, Runcam OWL up front. Here's my X4R receiver, S-Bus for the Taranis. It's just D-pinned. I know it's hard to see, guys, sorry, but it's D-pinned and then wrapped in black and then red electrical tape. After I depinned it, I direct solder my wires to the end of it, and then it's direct soldered to the flight controller, which in this case, look at that, Lux V2. Get FPV hooked brother up on a test version of 2 of these, so it's in this one and one of my other quads. I love the Lux V1 except for the gyro that after a few crashes would get sticky, and I also did not like the fact that, I don't know, one of the ones I had, it just died. The boot button just like died on it. I don't know what it was. But besides that, the high voltage, the layout, everything about the Lux V1 I loved. It made such a good clean build. So when I found out the Lux 2 was coming out with the better 6000 MPU gyro, I was floored. I love that they're back. I love the fact that you can get the wires to the 4 corners where you need them. All the other wires are nice and clean and off the middle, front and back side. The Lux V2 actually has an SD card slot for data log instead of just using the 2 gig or 2 meg on board. Now you can put 4 meg outboard. So you have that. There's none on board anymore, by the way. And it's just a great high voltage. Any high voltage flight controller allows you so much more versatility in just wiring everything high voltage. So my best and favorite build is high voltage flight controller, a basic multi-rotor Mania PDB, which is what's in this one, which is this. Just literally put some power to it, get the power right back out. Put that power to a high voltage race Unify Pro. There it is. Just small, perfect. I put a little bit of electrical tape on both sides, on the back side at least, whenever I have it laid up against other components, just in case something scratches off. I don't want to ground. There's a huge couple of pads on the back, so I just don't want those actually shorting anything. So the X4R D-pinned. I know the XSR is smaller, but I prefer an X4R because of the antennas being able to be swapped quickly, and I just like it. I don't know. And then everything is just sandwiched in there. You can see I run on my Unify Pros. I run this 4-inch RP SMA UFL wire. So I take the old, just a little shorty, the one that comes with the Unify Pro. I hate it too. I don't know. I don't have one even laying around, but it's a little short one. It doesn't have the ability to actually screw it in place. You have to actually screw it off the sides, and it just sucks. So that's the one I use there. It's a little 4-inch. It's from what is it? Wi-Fi Experts on eBay. They're like $2 a piece. So there's that. And that's how I have it wired up in there. So nice and clean. All the wires are trimmed back. I'll put it back together this way right here. And we'll have it buttoned up. The only other thing I'll say that I like to do with those PDBs from Multi-Rotor Mania, they're just such a simple PDB, is I do wire my XT60 off the side directly. And I'll show you. Let me get these in. So the XT60 is right there, and it's just direct soldered to the pads. I mean, it's got a ton of solder. I mean, I weld that thing in there nice. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So, but that's my favorite way to plug in on the side of one of these X frames. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the little dive into what I'm flying in the Rana. We'll do another one here in a little bit on another quad, and Quad Spotlight will continue. Fly safe, fly smart, guys. Just fly. Hey, fly a Rana 220, all right?